guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching. Welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution 2. This is another speed build based in our California Sandbox park, which still doesn't have a name, but I am excited to be back in it nonetheless. In the last episode, we did add 2 carnivore habitats at the kind of our carnivore canyon area. This is at the base of it. And today, as you could probably guess by the title and the thumbnail, we are adding not only the Pyro Raptors, but the Velociraptors as well. So in the third episode, last episode, we added the 2 carnivores. I think we added Allosaurus and Carnivores. And that is our kind of carnivore canyon is what I was calling it. And this is at the very bottom of that section. And so what I wanted to do is at the base of the section, this is going to be a little closer to the entrance. I wanted to transition into smaller carnivores because we have these 2 big paddocks that have bigger carnivores in them. And I really wanted some space for some smaller carnivores. I really wanted this to be more of an elongated habitat as well, knowing that I was going to be building for both the Velociraptor and the Pyroraptor, both species that are very quick, like to run. So I wanted to kind of create this, I was almost channeling like a cheetah run kind of thing. I wanted it to be a longer habitat so that they have space to run from one side or the other. And I wanted it to be a combination habitat because I think that if dinosaurs were, if they were real is what I almost said. We know they're real. If they were still alive and they were kept in parks, I do feel like parks would try to pair up dinosaurs that get along. Now, I have no idea if Pyroraptor and Velociraptor would actually get along. They might just be too similar. They might fight over territory. I don't know. If you have an idea, you can let me know down in the comments. But in my mind, they're very similar species, and so I think that they would get along somewhat, ? But that's what we're going with today, and why I'm building this habitat is because I really wanted to put them both down. I really do like the Pyroraptor. It is one of the newer species that was added with the most recent Biosyn expansion pack. And I just love all the colors and the feathers, of course. A huge fan. So anyway, that's what we're building for today. I have these kind of 3 curved little path cutoffs from the main path that serve to house like the viewing areas. Now you can see right here I am detailing kind of the middle little section where there would be like a planter where the guests walk around. I know we're using the Spinosaurus statue, but extend your imagination just a little bit and pretend that it is some sort of raptor species, because we really don't have a whole lot of decorations in the way of statues and things like that. And I really wanted this kind of front area to kind of showcase and draw people in, like, this is what you can come see if you walk into this viewing area. You know, there's not a lot of statues period, but there's no statues for Velociraptors or Pyroraptors or anything like that. So just imagine it's some sort of display for the correct species and not a Spinosaurus as it appears to be. We're actually going to put another one mirrored on the other side because there's 3. The outer 2 are pretty much the same, and then the center one is a little bit different. Excuse me, trying to keep with the symmetry of that. I was really trying to utilize more of the decorations, and as many as I could, to be honest, just to kind of line some paths and give everything a little bit more detail. Going back to the fact that we have very limited decorations in Jurassic World Evolution 2 at this point, I'm really just trying to use a variety of them and throw in a couple of the new Biosyn decorations as well. Now, I do say new. I'm aware it's been out for a while now, but still newest of the decorations. So we use a couple of the fountains and things like that. And then just throwing down trees absolutely everywhere I can, because I still want the park to feel lush and kind of not overgrown, but lush and vegetated, and you know, all the other adjectives you can think of to describe basically an alpine forest. So I wanted it to feel like the park didn't just demolish everything and build on top of it. They're kind of keeping some of the mature trees that were there and building around it. adding some seating and kind of rest areas around here and there. I really do wish we had things like benches and trash cans and like little teeny tiny detail stuff like that. I think just do a lot to add the detail around the paths and the guest facing areas to make it feel like it's a little bit more alive and a little bit more like a real park. You know, with dinosaur paddocks and things like that, at least the way that I build, they're so large that there's such a walking distance between each enclosure. Like if you're gonna walk this entire carnivore canyon, you are gonna get some steps in. It's gonna be like 10,000 steps just to pass one enclosure. And so I really feel like I want to add little benches, little covered seating areas, you know, little picnic areas, stuff like that. And we really don't have the objects to do that just yet. So in the future, I do hope that they add them. As well as one of the things that I was actually talking about when we were streaming last week is I would love to have smaller decorative fences. So you can see me right here using this little concrete piece, placing it along the path to make it look like it is keeping the guests on the path from just wandering into the planted section. But I would absolutely love smaller fences that place like a barrier fence. So decorative fences that would place like a barrier fence. You could place them on the sides of paths. You could place them as double fences on habitats to keep people away from the electrified fences. Because let's not kid ourselves. If we actually had a park like this, people would just be free to walk up to these electrified fences. And that is just a massive liability. I mean, a dinosaur park is a massive liability in itself, but we need to keep the guests safe away from those electrified fences and make it look pretty at the same time. So I would really love to have smaller fences, and the reason that I would love to have them placed as barrier fences or like those same mechanics is just because it would be easy instead of having to place one object over and over and over again, especially because we don't have like an advanced move tool like we have in other games from Frontier like Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo. I think it would just be a whole lot easier if they were placed as barrier fences. But we've kind of finished up the outside guest-facing area, and we're going into the actual enclosure itself, just with some terrain paint and rocks everywhere. I built up this mountain on the left-hand side to give it more of like a backdrop that you're looking at, and that way you kind of see the entire enclosure, but from the ground you don't necessarily see exactly where it ends. It just kind of goes up into this hill, and it helps keep the animals all, in view, so you get great views of the animals running around. And then I also did add the tower viewing station that came with the Biosyn expansion pack. And then I had to actually figure out, I paused the recording because I had to figure it out. I couldn't remember which building that the Hyperloop connected to, and I figured it out. Obviously it's the control station from the new Biosyn expansion, but I had to go ahead and replace our original control station so that it could connect and actually be functional. And I didn't have a little notification on the top of my screen for the rest of my gameplay or building session there. So that is all connected up so that the scientists and whoever else can go out there and get a really good view at the Pyro Raptors. I actually envision it would be perfect because the hyperlink going underneath the ground, the guests are unaware of where it goes, and so staff can kind of navigate the park without having to do the massive amounts of hiking that everybody else has to do to get around the park. The very last thing that we're going to do is add some of these little decorations over here by the entrance, like little carriers and things like that. I say little carriers, these massive steel dinosaur carriers that if they needed to pull one of the Pyro Raptors or Velociraptors out for whatever reason, they have those kind of transport carriers there. I made the path a little bit wider, just envisioning that, the trucks that would have to carry these things would be somewhat large, and so they would need to fit in there. But other than that, we're just going to randomly select some coloration on the Velociraptors and the Pyroraptors. Go ahead and incubate those guys. I put 6 of each and then get them sent over. I do skip the recording there. Voila! They all appear in the habitat. And so now we're just doing some terrain painting to get everything looking beautiful, some low-lying foliage, and of course some more rocks just to give a little bit more detail throughout the habitat. There really isn't anything as far as like enrichment goes or anything to place in the habitat other than rocks and trees and terrain paint. So I'm just trying to add a bunch of stuff to make it look like it's not just this open, barren area, but also trying to keep, you know, big sections open and clear, because I mentioned before I wanted it to be a longer habitat so that they could run back and forth and really get their exercise. But here we go with some end shots here, some little glamour shots. I love that Biosyn fountain that was in that first one on the left-hand side. Here are our not Spinosaurus statues in the front of the viewing areas, and I'm really happy how this came out. It really didn't take me too long, about an hour to put together. That's what's nice about Jurassic World Evolution 2, is builds go fairly quickly. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much, as always, for watching, and if you did make it this far and enjoyed the video, you know what to do. All those algorithm helping things, liking, commenting, and of course hitting that subscribe button. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk at you in the next video. Bye!